Hello again, everyone. This is Randy, your sewing machine man, and what we're looking at is a baby lock, and not for any particular reason. Baby lock tempo. I just happened to get this in, and this is a recurring problem I'm going to try to show you the solution for, and that's when you're getting a bad stitch caused by the thread hanging up in the delivery. A lot of times my customers will get a stitch, and I get it too. I look in the bottom, and it just looks terrible. The top is real tight. And of course, they'll take the tension down. 4 is the preset where it's going to always be. They'll take it down. This one came in with a tension on 2. And that's a clue because the customer's trying to figure out why the top is so daggone tight. And of course, it wouldn't be consistently tight. It'd be tight and loose and tight and loose. It drives you crazy. So I always tell people to raise your needle to its highest point, raise the presser foot up, and check to see what the thread pull feels like on the top. You can check your bottom to see if there's a snag or something there, but pull it to the rear and pull it consistently and smoothly and see if it goes smooth, 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 smooth. And then does it hang? Like right there, see, it's hung up. And what's going on is it's hanging up on this spool. When it gets down to the back here, it hangs up. And it'll get real hard. It'll cause a pull, and then it comes back up. Kind of tough again. And when it gets up here to the top, see the thread's wound on here like this. Front, back, left, right. When it's up here, it's real easy. Oh, it comes off of there effortlessly like it should. When it comes back over here, you have to pull real hard. And you can see I'm tugging on it, and it's hanging up back here. And that'll cause your bottom thread to pull up. So you test the bottom, it's fine. You keep loosening the top, and it's because of this right here. Now, what the baby lock people have done is they've got wise to this. They got all the different auxiliary spool pens that go in here, and they got the different spool stops. You want to have the spool stop that fits your thread. So even though this is a smooth one, it's got little rough edges on there, and it'll catch that thread. So you want to get the thread spool stop that's always just bigger than the spool. That's why you have all these different sizes. Sometimes they'll come with as many as 5 different sizes. Here's one here. Bigger spool stop. You don't want it rolling off the spool. It's got to roll off the spool stop. And then sometimes you have to check the spool stop and make sure that it doesn't have a jagged edge. The slightest little imperfection in the plastic, you have to polish that off with something, make it smooth. Emery board, crocus cloth, emery cloth, sandpaper, whatever it takes to get that smooth. This has to be smooth. The thread has to pull off there without hesitation. If it hesitates a second, it'll pull your bottom thread up, or it'll jerk the needle forward. The needle will hit, it'll break, it'll put a hole in your bobbin case. And I always tell people, if you have one of these plastic bobbin cases, always have an extra, because a little thing like this can cause it. Now, what the people at Baby Lock have done, this is their auxiliary spool pen. And this is brilliant because it solves the problem. This goes over the bobbin winder right there, like so. Let me pull this around here so you can see what's going on. Goes around the bobbin winder, and then you mount the thread, at least I mount the thread, on here, and I spin it over so it's feeding sideways and not off the end. And I'll just set this aside because you won't need it. And then when you're over here pulling on the thread, press your foot up so it's releasing the tension. You pull on the thread and see that thing spinning around, and it's, no matter what resistance it is, you compensate for it because it's consistent. It's not rough and then easy, or hard then easy. It's consistently the same thing. Now, coming off the end, you got a hang. Up here you have it like that. So what you do is you put your fabric in there, start sewing, and that will feed properly, and you'll get a nice stitch. You won't get that hesitation. You won't get the snag. And you'll get a stitch that's absolutely consistent. See, there's your stitch. Absolutely consistent, because the top and the bottom match, because it's not jerking. So there's a lot of times when there's something going wrong with your machine, you're like, what in the heck is going on? Always raise your presser foot up, pull on your top thread, take it to the rear, under the foot to the rear, so there's nothing hanging up, and pull on it and make sure you're getting a consistent delivery of the thread. So there's not a stop-start, there's not a hesitation, there's not an easy, then a strong pull. Same with the bottom. You always want to have, because anything jerks like that, it's hanging up on something, and it has to be taken care of. Of course, when you go to ship this thing around, you'll have to take this off, put it back on there. When you go to sew, you put it back up here. But that's how Baby Lock decided to solve this issue with this problem. You know, some machines have the auxiliary pin that goes there, spool pin, put it in there. This one has an auxiliary spool pin, but it's kind of an unorthodox when it goes on your bobbin winder, but it solves the problem. So this is the little Baby Lock. What do they call this? The Lyric or something like that. I've got a couple of these this week. So a Tempo. This is the Tempo. So you get one of these things. I don't mind the machine because it didn't have a bunch of thread cutters and crap like that on it. So it's just a basic machine. It's probably a pretty good one. Baby Lock makes a pretty good little machine. And this price point, it's got a metal hook, plastic bobbin case. Of course, you want to have an extra one of those laying around. But it'll sew okay if your thread delivery system is correct. Always make sure to check everything. Always check your threading. Always, you know, lower the foot, pull, and all that. So that's a helpful hint. It'll drive you crazy if the thread's hanging up. It can't hang up. It has to go through without hesitation. Appreciate it. Thanks.